Hello, everybody. Wendy Byford here with another interview for you. I am your Legal Shield and ID Shield rep, and I am so happy to be speaking to another business owner who has a very unique product. Now, this is directed largely towards real estate investors, realtors, property managers, people who deal with real estate. And I'm really excited to be able to bring this to you because it is something that I think the marketplace really needs. So I want you to welcome Alex Tsepkov. He is the person who has put together this incredible product, and he's going to be my guest for the next few minutes on this show. Welcome, Alex.
Hello, thank you.
Now, Alex, you're a software developer by trade, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, wonderful. And you've got a good, solid educational background in IT as well, is that correct?
Yeah, also undergrad in software and then master's in systems engineering.
Okay, so you've got a really good understanding of how things work, and so it's probably not difficult for you to put this product together, although for some of us it's hard to get our minds wrapped around. However, first of all, let's talk about what the product is, and then I want to find out how you kind of got into this. So give our listeners and the people who are going to be listening after the live event, what is the name of your product and what exactly does it do?
So the product name is Investomation, and it aims to, it's a play on words, it's basically investing in automation, and it aims to help investors make more educated decisions when they're investing remotely. Basically, it's an analytics platform that gives you the kind of expertise that typically only a local would have in a regional market, in a market that like you or like I may not have any idea about. For example, I'm located here in Boston. I know Boston market really well. And I know Boston market well now because I've been investing in it for almost 10 years now. But when I first got started, even being a local in Boston, I only knew the couple areas near me, the two neighborhoods that were bordering me. I didn't know all of Boston. And this allows you to basically gain a very thorough understanding of what each area is like, how each area, like what trends are in each area, like what the population is like, what industries exist in the area, what the crime rate is like in block by block level in every single neighborhood in the city.
Wow, so that sounds like it has the information that you would get just from going out and walking the neighborhood every day.
That is correct. So it does use as base, it uses a lot of information that is publicly available online, census data, FBI profiles crime data. It uses NOAA data for weather. So a lot of different sources, but the thing with a lot of those sources, if you look at them, first of all, the data is all over the place. It's not normalized. It's not pretty. And it also, if you look at even census data in Boston, it's not necessarily going to be consistent with census data in Texas, which seems a little bit counterintuitive. For example, rents. Rents tend to be underestimated for the local rents in Boston, whereas they tend to be more on par with actual rents in Dallas. So this is one of those things that if you just go and grab census data directly, not only is it going to take you probably weeks to make sense of it all, it's also you need to curate it.
Okay, so it sounds like because there are so many different sources of data that need to be brought together, that the AI component in this product is really important because it helps to bring this into a format that people will be able to understand readily. Is that correct?
Exactly. And the way it works, there's hundreds, right now, I think it's close to 1,000 different metrics that we track. Some of the metrics are like somewhat like not generic, but they're pretty simple to track because like the data source, like there's only one data source for them. But some of the metrics, like even rent that I just mentioned, have to be more advanced. For example, census profile, like different sources have different strengths and weaknesses. So with rent, for example, census profiles data everywhere, including rural areas and cities, but their data for rents is very inaccurate. Whereas some like Zillow, they also profile rent data, and you can actually obtain it from them. Problem is, it's limited to cities. So if you go outside of the city, even like 40 minutes out, there's no Zillow data there. So you kind of have to look at Zillow data, you have to look at census data, you also have to look at HUD data. HUD data is basically what government is paying for subsidized housing, Section 8, whatnot. And the reason that data is important because government doesn't want to overpay, so government tracks that data as well. That data is available in more places, but it's available, the granularity is pretty bad. It's based on county level. So between those three sources, if you take all three of them and you have the AI component be aware of the weaknesses and basically figure out, okay, based on this trend, even though I have only two of the sources data here, but based on the trend I've been seeing in neighboring communities, this is probably what the average of the three would be in this area.
Okay, got it. Now, it would seem that that you have some competitors, but they're extremely expensive and really directed towards larger organizations that can spend that much money on a month and not worry about it. So for the small investor who just maybe wants to buy a couple of rental properties or something like that, this would seem to be a much better platform. Is that correct?
That is correct, yeah. And one thing I've spoken to a few, so we met online, but I spoke to a few other individuals.
Yeah.
What I'm hoping to do in the future, and this is not an offering that exists yet, partner with remote property managers to basically offer a better solution, something that not only does that first step in terms of analytics, but helps investors actually figure out, okay, what's the next step? I know what the analytics look like in this area, but I have no idea. I have no connections in this area. I have no idea who to buy from or who would even manage the property for me. So that's an eventual step I'm hoping to solve as well. At that time, we may look back at the pricing model and see if it needs to be changed. But again, my target audience right now is mom and pop investor. So I don't want to be like CoStar, for example, that charges like $1,600 per month for their data.
Right. But it sounds like you've got some good plans for expanding the offering and making it really valuable to the small investor.
That is correct. Yeah. I'm basically targeting an investor that's kind of like myself 5 to 10 years ago, because when I first got started, I very quickly realized Boston is not the area where I wanted to buy in because of local politics.
Right.
But in order to buy remotely, I realized that there's a lot of different pieces I need to put together, and like there wasn't a solution that made it easy to even research to understand like what area makes sense. And you really have to know the locals or the local property management company to be able to make educated decisions, not just about what kind of tenant to get into the property, but even where to buy the property. And that's a problem that my solution needs to solve.
Okay, perfect. So, Alex, before we go on to who you're really talking to, your target audience, and who you'd like to partner with, I want to find out how you kind of got into this, because I know that you're a real estate investor, but did you take your own experience to build it, or did you talk to a lot of people? Or what's the background behind how you actually put this together?
So as you mentioned before, I've been doing software for a long time, like almost 20 years at this point. And I got into real estate sort of by accident. This was 2015. And when I first started investing, I started investing locally first, and I quickly realized the local landscape wasn't quite what I wanted to invest in. As I started talking to other investors who were investing remotely. And I tried both partnering with other investors remotely. I hired a few property managers as well. So I currently have properties both locally and remotely. And I've realized that I was basically completely at their mercy. I didn't even know where to invest, and I was trusting their opinion completely. So if a property manager tells me this is a good area, this is a bad area, that may not always be the case, because he doesn't know what my goals are. He might be looking at his own goals, and he's basically extrapolating based on that. And the idea was for me to gain a better understanding of what other cities look like. And even if they say, for example, buy in this neighborhood, not in this, as you probably already know, real estate is very much block by block. So just because they say buy in this neighborhood, there are areas in there that you still may not want to touch. And just because they tell you like buy in this other zip code, there's still areas there that, well, don't buy in that other zip code. There's still areas there that might already be gentrifying, where that's usually where the value is. You want to be one of the first people to buy when the trend is improving before everyone else has caught on to it, because otherwise, yeah, you're basically a ladder. Basically, you're going to the market later, and you're overpaying already. And I've built this tool for myself. I use it a lot for my own research. I've shared it with. I haven't really done a good job marketing it yet. I've sort of it's word of mouth. I have some free users. I have a few paid users, but it's not really at the point where it's paying the bills yet. Right now, it's most of my real estate still doing that.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, so slowly building it out. And my goal also, like I said, my ideal target audience is mom and pop investors, basically people who maybe in the same niche as myself, who maybe already own a primary residence and now they're looking to buy their second or third property that they actually want to cash flow, maybe some retirement income. Help them out, make better decisions. Um, cater to them, not make the tool overly complex. Like a lot of like you mentioned, CoStar, for example, it's geared at people who manage hundreds, thousands of properties, and it's both expensive and complex to manage.
Right. So you mentioned something that's really interesting, that you want to be able to get into a neighborhood when it's starting to improve and not wait until, everybody else has found it and now you're overpaying. What are some other common mistakes that you find that small investors make that your product is actually going to help them with?
Mm-hmm. So to extrapolate on this a little bit, what makes this platform different than just grabbing census data is this AI component doesn't just take a bunch of sources and just say, okay, this is the average of them. It also looks at the trend over the last few years and it figures out, okay, based on this trend, based on what I've been experiencing before in other areas, maybe this trend's probably going to continue, it's going to accelerate or it's going to slow down. A lot of the times investors basically look at current trend and they sort of extrapolate it indefinitely. They don't realize that this trend could be subsiding. Um, there could be political shifts. Like, for example, most recently, Texas is still a very popular area for investors to buy in. However, as you probably heard, literally like 2 or 3 months ago, they banned Airbnb rentals in Dallas. So now Dallas real estate, if you look at Plano, one of the markets I've been tracking myself, and like you look at Dallas, a lot of the properties have started going down because people have bought those Airbnb investors thinking that the trend was going to continue, thinking the Airbnb trend is going to continue, and they didn't think about local politics, or basically they didn't foresee local politics, and they got in a place where now like, they own a house which they can't rent out because they'll be losing money and they can't put in Airbnb because now it's illegal. So I'm not saying that my app will figure out, hey, Airbnb is about to be declared illegal in Texas. However, what it will tell you, okay, Dallas is a very popular area for Airbnb, and there's a big spike. Like the rentals have been accelerating, and it does not seem like that trend is sustainable. And a lot of people in Dallas are complaining about Airbnbs, and usually when the locals are complaining, the government's going to do something about it, which is they just
Right.
have done.
Yeah, I think that's actually going to be a problem across many, many cities. There's lots of people complaining in neighborhoods that they're tired of the Airbnb parties and whatnot. So
Yeah.
understandable. Well, it's great that your product will actually kind of alert people to what's going on so that they can make really good decisions.
And
Now,
it's not so much, sorry, just to clarify, it's not so much that it will alert people yet. It's more of if they stack those metrics, then they'll see, okay, so it looks like it's kind of like in the stock market. You have like that oversold and overbought. So it doesn't necessarily flag it, tell you, okay, this buy now or sell now.
mhm.
But when you play with it enough, you'll kind of get the hang of it and you'll compare it to another market and you'll say, okay, this looks like it may not be like while it keeps going up right now, it looks like this trend is unsustainable.
Right. So it looks like this product, if I'm kind of extrapolating out here, it looks like this product would be really good for things like investment clubs, where you've got a few people who gather together to look at information from a specific area and decide, is this a good place to invest in? and that, they could look at the data and say, okay, well, this is what we're seeing. So, what's likely to happen, and they can kind of talk it out. It seems like your product would be really good for that.
Yeah, and I'd actually love to hear from investment clubs if they decide to use this product, just because this is one of those things like where the software can only do so much, and it's based on sort of like the AI is based on me observing these trends and then saying, okay, this is the kind of trend I need to look for. Now, there are other groups, other investors looking at, they may notice trends that I haven't noticed yet, that other users haven't noticed yet. So I would love to incorporate more data to make the software smarter, because it's basically it helps them and it helps future users as well.
Okay, great. So if people are interested in taking a look at the product, how do they they do that? I believe that you said that it's on a subscription basis. Is that correct?
That is correct. So currently, for the next few weeks, it's still going to be on, with the current price is $20 per month for Pro model. There's also a free version that is free to subscribe. The main difference between free and a Pro version is free version shows you the trends on a country level across all of US, and then the Pro version lets you zoom into individual states and cities and see more local trends. For now, the Pro version is $20. Based on what I've seen, the competitors charge for similar products. I'm probably going to bump it up to $100 to be more competitive with other products, and so I can actually get this to the point where it pays the bills. And that's probably going to be in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. So if people get in now, are they grandfathered in at the $20?
That yes, if you get in now, you're grandfathered in at the $20 mark. With that said, you as an early adopter will probably be also sort of like a little bit of a guinea pig with all the with what works, what doesn't work. So if something doesn't work well, let me know. I do have we use Sentry on the back end. So Sentry, what it allows you to do, like every time you see an error or every time you experience an error, I log it, I see it as well. So then I can go back. I get email notifications, so when I see errors, we go back and fix them. So chances are, any error you run into, it will probably get fixed within the next few days.
Okay.
Very complex error, might take a few weeks, but basically, if you're joining in now, you may experience some growing pains, but you'll also be helping this project get better.
Okay, and you're guaranteed a really great price, so that's really good. Okay, so you heard it here. It's going to be a couple of weeks where you can actually get into this product for $20 a month. It is going to be bumped up substantially in a very short while. Alex, we're going to put your contact information on the show notes. However, for them to be able to look at Investomation and sign up, where do they go?
So just investomation.com, that's the website. You'll see the landing page first. There's a sign-in button right in front. And the way it works, when you, just to minimize the sign-up extra steps that you have to go through, when you first sign up, you automatically get the free account. So if you want the premium account, you have to sign up and then go to upgrade it afterwards.
Okay, so sign up first, update later. Okay, got it. All right. Any last things that you would like to tell our live listeners or to the people who are listening after the fact?
Well, aside from, so basically as I said, I'm a software developer by trade. I love building software. Real estate is one of those things. I love doing it now as well, now that I understand it. I had a lot of issues with it in the beginning, which is why I built the software. And if you join and you use the product, I'd love to hear from you. And all the feedback would get incorporated. I'm not saying that just because you request a feature, that feature will get added, because some features may make sense, some features may not, and some of the features just may be impossible for me to implement. But other than that, I'd love to hear from the users and incorporate the feedback to make a better product. Okay,
perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for being my guest. We'll kind of track your progress in the next few months and hopefully find out that, yes, this business is going gangbusters and you are more than able to pay your bills. And also that the people who got in early because they listened to this broadcast are really happy and having fun, not just getting the information, but also being beta guinea pigs, because I know that it's one of the things that my husband loves to do with software, is to be a guinea pig so that he can try things out and be one of the first to know how it works.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Okay, you take care, and we will see everyone later with another interview. Take care.